Did you think of moving away? Oh, no, then again, San Francisco. At last, the Cult of Frisco!
Boy, do we have some ground to cover. You and I have been busy little beavers.
Oh, exactly.
Yes. It's really hard to lock down Precious Envy, but we did it. By the way, I showed you off at Thanksgiving. We went to Uncle Steve's. Here, I'm seeing the top of your head. Pull your computer down a little. There you go. Oh, I want to see that pretty face. Melissa and I went to Uncle Steve's for Thanksgiving. Steve Reeder is my wife's business partner and an awesome dude. And he and his boyfriend, partner, they're not husband. Yeah, they're not married or anything. But have a nice little place in the Mission.
Yep.
And we went there and grubbed. It was so good. And Oscar went and his girlfriend, I forgot her name, sorry. And they asked about you, and so we showed off a little bit of Precious Envy. They were like right on. They're very supportive.
Yeah. Oh, Precious Envy.
Oh my God! And
who will be performing next Wednesday night?
You know, it's funny. Before they saw what you went for as Halloween, they totally picked you out as Inside Out sad. They're like, oh, he's like sad. And they were like, oh, look what he was for Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know my audience. I know my audience.
Totally cool.
Yeah, it's like they followed my life and created her. It's like
they did.
Right there. Dad.
I'm going to turn us up a little bit. Okay, yes. We are not just two guys babbling. Well, we kind of are. But we are
always, yeah.
The Cult of Frisco Podcast from nerdrotic.com. I am one of your hosts, Gary Beekler. I'm not so live in San Francisco, California. And I am with Harry Maldonado, Precious Envy, or Harry Envy, in New York City.
Any of the forms. Yeah.
Any of the forms is acceptable. D, all of the above. Okay.
Exactly.
So the last time we spoke, and it actually made it out on the internet land, we were talking about the girl who died. So we're going to bring everything back up from there to this amazing, incredible episode that played day before yesterday. It was
which I still haven't seen.
Oh well, we're gonna spoil it.
Yeah, I'm caught up until Heaven Sent. That's the only one I haven't.
Well,
seen
do you want
yet.
me to? Then we can work up to that, and you not want to talk about that then, because I don't want to spoil it. It's freaking awesome.
I'm okay with spoilers.
Okay, so I'll bring and then
we can bring that in. That's okay.
Yeah.
I was planning to watch it yesterday. That didn't pan out. I got home, my Netflix started working again, and I had to watch Jessica Jones. It's like I'm 2 episodes away from finishing it. 2 episodes away. And my Netflix has been acting up lately, so I was like, finally, it's ready to go. Once we're done, I'm finishing that K-hole I started. Finished my Jessica Jones, and I'm gonna watch Doctor Who. So I'm like, good to go for the night.
Well, I know it's hard to pin you down, but what I will put a shout out to you when Dennis and I are going to discuss Jessica Jones, and if you want to come in for a few minutes or something like that, I'd love to hear what you think.
I know, my schedule has gone from being pretty free to insane. So
yeah, I think everybody's is.
It's the holidays. My schedule, like work, and trying to do a few things, and moving. So it's like,
moving.
December is like the worst. I decided to no longer live in Bed-Stuy, so I've been looking for a new place.
Where we're gonna live?
I want to move back to Astoria, but I'm okay with going like into Manhattan, like Washington Heights area.
Manhattan.
So
wow.
It's
How
if my
exciting.
apartment didn't have so many. Yes, exactly. If my apartment didn't leak as much as it has the 11 months I've lived here, I might be considered staying. But having to find 2 new people, having to deal with that, I said, screw it. Let me just start fresh for 2016.
Well, I'm looking at
So
your
that's my
background
plan.
there. Is that art or is that a brick wall falling apart?
No, that was it's both. No, that was part of the cool hipness of the apartment. Look at this cool here. Look at this wonderful little wall piece. Yeah.
Is that like old school or is that like art?
No, I want to say it's kind of. I think it's it might have been what was left of. It might have been an exposed brick wall at one point,
Okay.
and that's all they kept from it.
Cool.
Which I would have much rather had a full-on exposed brick wall. I love exposed brick.
Oh yeah. It's cold, but it's cool. But I mean,
Exactly.
there you go, cold and cool. So we have a lot of ground to cover. We are going to cover. Unfortunately, Harry's going to get spoiled because the last episode, I'll tell you when we get there, it's the best episode of. It's in the top 5 for New Who. I think it's in the top 3 for New Who. It is
already
sick, but when we get up to it, I hope it's not like last year where we had a great 10th episode with the reveal of Missy, and then the landing didn't completely stick. But we will get to that. So let's start with the woman who lived. We left off with the girl who died, and we went to the woman who lived, and we discussed this already a little bit. But let's
we was like we had talked, and then my computer died. It was or something happened, so we were only able to get up to that point, and we were about to get into the Zygon invasion and inversion. And I was super excited because I just finished watching them. I'm like, yes, and then I was like, okay, I'll talk to you soon, kind of thing.
Yeah, and okay, so and we're just gonna look at the season as a whole because we're not gonna unfortunately we can't go into fine details, and plus you guys have already seen these, and there's already been 1,800 people who've already reviewed this, so this podcast is going to be Doctor Who Series 9 so far review with 1 to go. And we're going to start with The Woman Who Lived, which was as we discussed a little bit of a downer from the girl who died.
It was still not as bad as Before the Flood, but there were moments in it that I think Capaldi had some stellar moments. Ashilda had some good moments. It was just the reveal of the alien menace was just kind of I don't know, I just felt like they kind of forced that in to me. It didn't really feel it didn't flow. It didn't have a good flow, and that was my problem with that episode. It didn't really flow, but it had that end scene where she's in the background on Clara's phone from the picture to be I'm watching you, which will then get into in 4 episodes later that plays into a role. But yeah, it's just kind of so far, even I think for me, it's probably been the Before the Flood and then The Girl Who Lived or The Woman Who Lived were probably my 2 least favorite episodes so far of the season.
Which are still, I'm going to say, better than the bad episodes from last season, which were In the Forest of the Night, which was just horrible. And Robots.
Yeah, that was just it. Yeah, those 2 were just kind of, those are weak ones from last season.
Bad episodes. But you know what? I mean, if you look at them as a whole, they've been really strong episodes, and even the bad episodes had strong moments. What I talked about before, but you guys haven't heard it yet, is the Woman Who Lived reminded me so much of the Shakespeare Code. It just in the feel, in the really pretty bad guys, the overplayed witches, although they're a little more fun than Lionel. But the end, the operatic end with the portal opening, and it just reminded me of that. And then the very end, it was a great episode for carrying along the overall plot of the year, which is Hybrid. And so that episode carried into and so the girl who died was much better, but Maisie Williams was still amazing. And then we get into the 2-parter, which was stellar, which was absolutely just fantastic. Probably am I gonna say Moffat's best 2-parter? I don't know. I still like the Impossible Astronaut, but
I will say this was, I think, how there's always that one moment where you're that's when you're the Doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've said it before for Capaldi's run, but I want to say that in the second part, in the Saigon inversion, when he's breaking down what war is, pretty much, it was, I'm watching it going like, that's the Doctor. Like, it wasn't like it's David Capaldi. It's like, no, that was the Doctor. It was like, that was like the quintessential Doctor speech that you expect from the Doctor. And it was just like, yes, right there. And I think that's like, for me, that moment, that's like, you're my Doctor. They're right there. And it's like, you have that moment when you watching the show, when you're the new Doctor kind of becomes your Doctor. And I think that was it for me, where I've been liking him. He's been doing a great job, but still it's like, he's no Tennant. I think I still prefer Tennant over Smith. But then it's like, when you have that moment where he's like, because even Smith, it was the Christmas Carol, was when I was like, okay, you're my Doctor now. Yes, you're my Doctor. And I think that's what is with Capaldi, was for me where it clicked, being like, you are the Doctor. Yes. Yeah. And so for me, you're now my Doctor.
That was my moment too. And I actually got inspired. And while we're on hiatus, I will do this. And I don't care if anybody else has done it, but I'm going to do our, you know what? We'll get together, but we're going to do our favorite Doctor speeches that we call our Doctor moments. And I'll do one of those clickbait videos. What the hell? Because, what the hell? We'll be off, until next season. It looks like, later we're going to talk about about next season and all the rumors are true, even though they lied about it. But we're going to continue on. So the coolest thing about the Zygon invasion to me was how it, I think inadvertently, I think that the topic was there in Europe anyway with the immigration and stuff, but it had like ramped up to 10, and the way they dealt with it so evenly, not heavy-handed, just like exposing, like, here is the situation that is. We're not telling you what side we're on. This is what is. This is the truth. This is their side. This is their side. And then Capaldi's speech at the end is so, even after the Paris attacks, you know what? A lot of people shared it, and I know it's just art. Well, it was a silly little show.
It was also because it came about, 2-3 weeks beforehand.
Yeah.
And it was just that it is very much that thing of like going, sometimes there's those moments in art when you're like, it parallels too much to reality.
Yeah.
Where you're like, that speech is like, that's what he was talking about. What's going on? This is what he was just saying. Exactly. This is what Moffat had written, stating like, this is what's going to happen. Even like, I went and saw Mockingjay, and there were just so many things in it that was just like, this is just a little too on the nose right now. About like, this is the world we live in. It's not like that dystopian future, but they're just like key points of that war where you're like, could easily be tomorrow kind of thing. And you just like have that, like sometimes it's just like art appears and it's like, it parallels what's going on, because it's always, they always say you learn history so you don't repeat it, but no matter what, it's a constant repeat. Like, it just feels like there's a moment, just go back to what it was, and you're like, let's try again. See if you get it right this time. Oh, nope, let's try it again. And it's like, where you're put in the same exact situations, and you have to see if, like, will you have the same outcomes?
Yeah, art imitating life, life imitating art. And it's funny that it's very astute, Harry. And what you just spoke about is pretty much what the last episode is, which we will get to.
Yeah.
But again, I can't say enough. I don't want to gloss over the entire episode. Clara, Jenna Oswald's performance was brilliant as a bad Clara. And I forgot what the name was.
Why is it Bonnie? It was Bonnie.
Bonnie. Yeah, Bonnie. And having
Bonnie. And it's such like not even a bad name. Like like, it doesn't even strike fear in you, Bonnie. It's like,
no, and having why am I blanking on her name now? What's her name? Osgood. God dang it. Yeah. Having Osgood and back, and Kate Stewart back, and Unit back, and and
even though it felt like Unit got destroyed, and like it did feel like they destroyed Unit though. It doesn't really. It's like Unit has like 2 people working for it now.
Yeah, they went all Hydra went all shield on them.
On them, shit.
And a lot of people died. But the whole point of the Doctor's speech is, yes, people died. Yes, there's the thirst for revenge. But you know what? You've got to be the first person to go, you know what? I know you killed somebody I love, but we're going to stop. We're going to stop.
Yeah.
And sometimes there just isn't justice. And the whole point of his speech, which I will replay, was you sit there and fight, and you need to do, and what the fighting ends up, you end up doing what you should have done in the first place, is sitting down and talking. Now, that's not going to change, and there's the thirst for blood, and even me, if like somebody harmed a member of my family, I'm going for the throat. I'm not going to sit there and talk to them and forgive them. I'm not there yet, and we're not there yet. But just a knockout speech, great performance. It was it had the energy of the Suntarum experiment from season 4, but way better story. Mm-hmm. And Stephen Moffat, as critical as I've been, and I know the Who fandom out there, like, has been writing his ass off this weekend, and he's a treasure. He's the man who wrote that speech. Okay, and a lot of other great ones that are after that. And it looks like, and we'll talk about this after we review the episodes real quick. It looks like he is going to be going. So, again, outstanding 2-parter, and then it kind of stops dead for me, with Sleep No More.
You know what? I went into that because I heard, like, I think you had complained about it. A few other people on my feed had said, like, what the hell did I just watch? What is this? And you know what it just reminded me of? It reminded me of Blink. Like, that it was the whole, like, creating a villain that's just kind of going to be there. And I don't know. I enjoyed it. I think it was, like, had that kind of, like, horror movie motif to it. Like, it had a similar feel of, like, Under the Lake, where it had the same, like, here's a small cast in this kind of, like, tight area being stalked by these weird creatures. And I kind of just, like, I don't know why, but I actually really liked it. I was like, I think it was just so weird that I was like, I'm for this. I'm okay. And I kind of like that, like, not Sixth Sense, The Ring kind of mentality of, like, if you watch this, 7 days kind of mentality. And so I don't know. It was weird. The like creatures were just like weird enough that I enjoyed it. And it was like, they had a really good, I liked the cast. Like, it was just like, you knew that guy was a villain. Like, it was like, you're the villain. We already know that. But I don't know. I really liked it. It was just weird. It was just weird to me.
What I didn't like about it wasn't much the story, because I got the story. At first I was like, what the hell? And then I realized, okay, I get, and they broke the fourth wall, and it was really rather clever episode, and it was Mark Gatiss trying to go away from what he usually does, which is period pieces. And I'm not as much of a hater as I was of his work. I've actually learned to. I actually love Victory of the Daleks. I love the Screaming Dead. I freaking love the Screaming Undead, or whatever, the one with Eccleston, with Charles Dickens. I freaking love that episode. But what the problem I had with it was production. And I know they're limited with TV, but if you're going to do a found footage episode, don't shoot it with HD cameras. You know what? Go get a camcorder. Get a camcorder and shoot it with a freaking camcorder. And that would have added to it. I'm one of the few people out there who still likes the Blair Witch Experiment. Freaking love that movie. I loved everything about it.
All right. It's called the Blair Witch Project.
The Project. Sorry. Sorry. I know, horror, man. But I freaking loved it. I watched people like cry in the movie theater. They were so scared. And then people came back and go, oh, it was a lame movie. I'm like, that was a student film done on a nothing budget by guys who were just started film school. And it was genius. It was really genius because
and how they marketed that movie was amazing, creating this like internet backstory. Like,
it was the first thing to be viral. It was the first movie to be viral.
Exactly. And it's just like you had all these things where it's like they just went by their real names. It wasn't like you had actors playing different people. It was like, no, these are the 3 people. They had the same names. And it wasn't until the movie actually ended and premiered that they actually were able to do interviews and be like, no, we're alive. It was just a movie kind of thing.
Yep. And Sci-Fi did an awesome documentary which was just as good as the movie on the backstory of the Blair Witch. And it was a study in fear, in like, don't ever show what's coming after you. Don't ever, if you do, just like little slivers, you know.
Yep.
So okay, so you liked it, I didn't. That's okay. We can disagree.
Yeah.
That's what makes America great.
We're getting a divorce. Bye.
We're disagreeing. See, look at this, people. Harry and I are disagreeing, but we still love each other. See how that happens? See how that works? Okay. But then we're gonna go right into Face the Raven. I'm not skipping one here. Yes, Face the Raven, and wow. This is an episode. For one, it was Diagon Alley, right? That's Diagon Alley for Doctor Who.
No, it was exactly. It was pretty much Diagon Alley for Doctor Who. It was their Harry Potter kind of thing. You know, I didn't see the episode till like after the fact, and it's like I think, but everyone being like, "Oh my God, Doctor Who!" I already knew the outcome. It was like no surprise that was the outcome. But it's like I was thinking about it, like since Clara came back to the Doctor, she's kind of been a lot more not more rebellious, but she's like gun ho. Reckless, and like, you know, there's that whole scene where she's just kind of like, woo! I'm like almost practically falling out of the TARDIS. And in that way, it's like she kind of had a death wish from the get-go.
Yep.
So it wasn't the fact that it was like, I like that it wasn't this whole thing like you saw her being like, I'll take this thing from you because, you know, we'll trick them. Because that's what the Doctor does. And, you know, and she thinks, like, I like that she always thinks like the Doctor. And it's just like, oh no, you were stupid because she could have saved him. She can't save you. That was not part of her deal. And you're like, oh. And you have this thing where it's like Clara, in a way, Clara died with dignity. Like it was.
She absolutely did.
It was like she died with dignity. And she had that moment where she's like, don't go crazy and get revenge. Like, because we all know how the Doctor gets when he's by himself after he loses his companion, whether it's them leaving on their own or something where something happens. And she had that little speech with him being like, it's not your fault. It's mine. It's not your fault. There's nothing we can do. And this is how it's going to be. And she just walks out there. And it is like still knowing that she is going to die. And you just see the scene happen. You're still like, oh, okay. Okay. Actually, like, and in that way, you in the part of you is that something happened at the end. Maybe there'll be a quick thing, and you're like, no, that bird.
No timey-wimey.
It hits her, no timey-wimey, and you just see her when she falls. You're just all like, oh, like it was just as heartbreaking as like, and Rose being on the other side of the wall that's like another world, another dimension, and Donna crying about "Don't take it away from me." It was like. Oh,
that was up there.
Like, those are just those. Like it was one of those moments because even Amy, when she like, it was like Amy. I think for Amy, even though it was a sad departure, it was still like you're going to live your life with your husband, which is what you've always wanted.
She's like,
So it's like it was sad that you weren't gonna ever see the Doctor again, but it was like you were actually going to be able to live out your days with the man you love. And that's why it was like, it's like, it was heartwarming with Amy's departure because it was like, she did it also on her terms too. Like it was like, Matt she turned around and said goodbye.
But 11 was being a little selfish there, I think.
He was very selfish because that was his best friend. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, or even like whenever you're around, when they have their companions for so long, they get selfish. Yep. Like even Tennant had that line when Donna was the only one who didn't turn into the Master in the 2-part his finale.
Yeah.
And where she let out that energy, and he even said, "Well, you think I was going to leave my best friend defenseless?" It's like they still have an eye for them, even if they're not with them. But it was like, it was like I would say like Rose, Donna, and Clara, they're good Doctor goodbyes were like, oh, there goes my heart right there. Yep. Those were just like, it was that whole it's like the episode was like handled so well. Like you're kind of like, how, because the entire time I just kept thinking, how are they going to do it? How are they going to do it? Knowing that by the episode's end, she's going to be done. She's gone. And it's like, how are they going to do it? But at the same time, one of the themes of the season has been the Doctor thinking Clara is dead. And now she is. So you're like, how is he going to handle that? Which is heaven sent. It's supposed to. Which is him handling it.
Well, real quick to, that episode, for being it was a 45-minute episode, moved so fast. And if you look at Doctor Who, it like so little happened. If you, it was a great episode, but like they walked into an alley, they stood in an alley, they talked to some people, there was a bird, and I'm just describing the episode here, and they find a dead body that's not a dead body, that's got a face on each side, and it's got a kid who's hiding its gender, and it's got a face on each side, and that's pretty much it. And it turned out to be a big old spoiler warning, a big old ruse. And this is where the Doctor's point comes in.
Just to get the Doctor, yeah.
This is where Clara is not going to be... I think this Clara is dead, but I think there will be a Clara... Well, they've already kind of ruined it. I mean, the Doctor Who magazine ruined it. I'm not going to say how here. I'm actually not going to say how, but they've ruined something. And there was something behind that, the Raven. Remember, she made she being a shielder... made a contract with somebody and promised the Raven a soul. For one, why does that Raven need a soul? They didn't ask that question. Who was behind the Raven and why does it need a soul? That's very important. And I think that goes, remember Murder on the Orient Express? That's another plot thing. Like it'll get wrapped up in Capaldi's last episode. Who in the hell was Gus? Who in the hell was Gus? And why was he... I mean, he's not just going to go away. That's not... There is throwaway villains. But that one's coming back. And I want to say... at the end of the episode, I'll tell you who I think Gus is, because it's really exciting. So what was behind the Raven? Was it? Well, I'm not going to say it until we talk about... Which is going to be a spoiler for you, I'm sorry to say... Heaven Sent.
That's okay. I'm fine with spoilers.
I've watched it 3 times, and I'm going to tell you, as great as an episode it is, it's a little rough to watch over and over. But it is. I'll tell you. After I saw it, it is. I'm not going to say it's better than. I think Eccleston. I will always go down saying that Eccleston has made the best performance as a Doctor Who actor. Like his performance for that season overall was the best performance of a Doctor Who actor. My personal favorite, is Tennant, because he is the role. He permeates the role, and he's just fun. And there's an energy about that dude that's just likable, even when he's a evil motherfucking bastard in Jessica Jones. Who, I mean, I actually, after watching Jessica Jones, I put it on Twitter and Facebook that I had to go and watch. I had to watch Human Nature and The Family of Blood, his greatest performance, just to cleanse my palate, to remind me how much I liked him, because I really didn't like him at the end of Jessica Jones.
Kilgrave.
Raping bastard. Which you know what? I can't wait to talk to you about that, because they made, ladies and gentlemen who watch Jessica Jones, Kilgrave was light compared to what he was in the comics. In the comics, he was way worse. Okay, back to Doctor Who. Back to Doctor Who. So, Clara dies, and the Doctor gets teleported and finds out it's a big old ruse by a shielder, and she has been hired by somebody to get his confession dial. So the Doctor, at the end, you and I and everybody else was waiting for a Time You Want Me, and there was a post-credit scene. Did you see the post-credit scene for Face the Raven? You probably didn't. I had the picture up on our website. It was Riggsy painted the TARDIS.
I had seen that, because that had actually been, that was a picture I saw probably like Sunday, scrolling through Facebook, I think on the Doctor Who site, the Doctor Who fan page on Facebook had popped that up, and so when it showed that, and so I'd already seen the picture, thing like Riggsby painting, spraying the TARDIS with Clara's image. It was like, oh, that was even just wait, salt the wound more. God damn it.
I know. Oh, but that was, I mean, I even posted that kind of spoiler a little early, but it was such a beautiful picture. But we also got to remember.
It was such a great picture, yeah.
That is the last place the Doctor left the TARDIS. That is very important. So the Doctor teleports at the end. A shielder says she's sorry. The Doctor looks at her, and again, there was another great speech, of the Doctor genuinely pissed. And kind of scary, going, you know what? I'm going to go after you and your family. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. So we are going to go into an episode Harry hasn't seen. I'm going to spoil the hell out of it.
Spoil the hell. I'll just do the la la la's every time I don't want to hear something.
Well, you're going to have to hear about the ending. So basically, Heaven Sent was a tour de force. I mean, it was like definitive tour de force for Peter Capaldi, and a boldly written episode that could have gone so badly. But this is a reminder to one and all of the man who wrote Blink. This just Peter Capaldi. There is two other actors in this, by the way. There's a child at the end who doesn't say anything, and there's Clara Oswald, and we will talk about that. The Doctor teleports what looks to be, it looks like a TARDIS. It looks like an old school, like ancient TARDIS, but it's a transport room, and he's in a castle that's in the middle of an ocean. And it's a castle, again, Harry Potter reference. It's a castle that moves. And can I just put a side note in here? In the Harry Potter movies, did you notice they really went away from the castle moving? Like they stopped doing it for some reason. They did it in the last episode, but what would have been really cool is during the fight, the castle moved. But I'm going to leave that alone at the end. But
the budget only went for certain things.
Yeah. So, okay, so Capaldi is in this. The 12th Doctor's in this castle, and he gets out basically saying, if you had anything to do with the death of Clara Oswald, you should be scared right now because I'm coming after you. So he quickly discovers that he's in what is either a torture chamber or hell or a prison, and there is something pursuing him that's called the Veil. And it's this, it looks like death, but in a white veil with flies flying around it. And what you find out pretty quickly, the castle lets him know that this thing is following him. There's monitors everywhere that whatever this thing is looking at, it's basically a camera. So Capaldi could see that it's coming after him, and he figures out pretty quickly that the thing pursues him down a corridor, and there's a lot of corridors in this, and he even mentions that, I finally run out of corridors. And he gets to a room, and the thing's about to, grab him, and he goes, I'm scared to die! And the thing stops. And he's all, what made you stop? What made you stop? Well, it's a confession. So basically, he's running around in this castle getting pursued and monologuing to himself, but he's talking to Clara the whole time. And and there's a scene where he jumps out the window and he falls, he escapes from the veil and he falls into water, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's in the TARDIS. And he's like, well, I bet you want to know how I escaped. And he explains how he thinks he escaped from that, but he really didn't. And he was looking at a painting, and he was looking with a little magnifying glass, and he dropped it. Well, when he was doing that, he was testing the gravity. And when the thing was about to pursue him out a window, he threw the chair out the window. Did he throw the chair out the window to break it? No, he wanted to see what was at the bottom, and he heard it splash. So when he jumped out, he had already figured out like the gravity. It was salt water, how far of the drop, how quick it's going to be, and he's even mentioning this. He's in the TARDIS kind of monologuing like how he did this, and he's all, am I ruining the magic for you? But the thing is, he actually did expire. And when he was in the water, when he dives in, he gets to the bottom, and the bottom is just nothing but skulls everywhere. So there's been tons of other prisoners here, or not. And, it's just, it was a creepy episode. It was not boring in the least. Just having him, it's an extra long episode. It's 55 minutes long, and it's just him talking to himself and talking to Clara, and he's talking to Clara in the TARDIS, and it's really so cool how they do it. You see the chalkboard come back, and when he's thinking to himself, he's asking himself questions. The answers come back on the chalkboard, and then you see like Clara. You see the back of Clara, which initially looks like just another actor with a wig on, looking like Clara, but that's actually Jenna Louise Coleman in there. But you're just seeing her back. And the Doctor, he's going through this mystery and unraveling this mystery of like what this thing is, and he's figuring out that the veil the Veil is catching him, and every time it catches him, he ends up back in the TARDIS, and he starts back over again, and he has to do the whole thing, and he gets it down to a science to where he gives himself. He lures the Veil to one side of the castle and then runs to the other side because the Veil's really slow. It comes, but it never stops. And he gives himself 88 minutes. So each time he gets killed, he comes back and he's got 88 minutes to figure out a new clue. And what he finds out, he's looking for room 12, and the rooms move, and so he finally gets there. And I'm trying to, I'm skipping a lot of stuff, but you got to realize that like it's all in the acting here. But he finds room 12. Yeah. But the Veil catches up with him, and he's like had enough. He wants to give up. He's like, I've just, one of the things he does to get out of this, he's asking Clara, he's like, what do I do? And she's like, figure out a way to win, and she writes it on a chalkboard. She's not talking, and he's in the TARDIS after getting killed for like the millionth time, and he's like, I give up. I don't want to win anymore. I just want to sleep. I'm done. Can I just lose this one? Can I just be free of this? I'm tired of running. And then you start learning answers because Clara comes in and gives him a little pep talk a la Amy at the end of Time of the Doctor. And she puts her hand to his face and she goes, get off your ass, which was a great scene. It was just like, he was like ready to give up. And she's like, get off your ass. And he gets up and he's like, fuck yeah, and he finds room 12. And the Veil gets to him again, and he confesses that he did not run from Gallifrey because he was bored. That's always been the line, that he was bored. He ran because he was scared. And the reason he was scared was the prophecy of the hybrid. And the prophecy of the hybrid is what Davros said, is there's a creature from two warrior races, not necessarily a Dalek, that's going to come and lay waste to Gallifrey. So... But then he also talks about there's, that this was known before the Time War. And it's really cool. He talks about, before the Time War, the Time Lords knew it was coming. And they knew it was coming through the prophecy of the hybrid. So we're getting a lot of references back to Day of the Doctor. A lot of the seasons referenced back to Day of the Doctor. And the next episode is really going to reference it. We'll talk about that a little bit. And the Doctor finally makes it into room 12, and there's like a big wall of like, it's not diamond, it's something like 400 times harder than diamond. That's 20 feet wide, or that's like 8 feet wide and 20 feet thick, and he's got to bust his way through it while this thing's pursuing him. So he dies every time he gets a little way, and you figure out that he's, there's a lot more stuff in here that I'm just glossing through, but he's been there he's been there for billions of years. So he finally busts through and he tells the Veil, like, I'm not telling you any more secrets. There's just things I cannot tell ever. There's truths I could never ever tell. And so each time he's busting through the wall, and then there's a montage at the end, and props to Rachel Talalay, who directed Tank Girl. She directed the last 2 episodes of last season. This was one of the best directed. The best directed Doctor Who episode ever. Period. Nice. Period. And that montage at the end, and Murray Gold's music, which has been kind of average this year, is symphonic. It is beautiful. It is like just everything about this is like Shakespearean. So he busts through the wall while he's telling a grim fairy tale, and at the end, and the wall behind him goes, and something drops on the ground, and he picks it up, and it's his confession dial. He was in his confession dial, and he was confessing. Yes. And you look up, and there's a little kid there, and he looks at the kid. He goes, go to the city, find somebody important, and tell him I'm back, and tell him I know what they did. And the kid runs, and by that time you know what it is, and it pans up, and it's Gallifrey. So he's back on Gallifrey, and he puts his little glasses on, and he starts talking to the dial, and he goes, just between you and me, because I know you're still listening, you got it wrong about the hybrid. It's not half Dalek. Nothing could be half Dalek. They would never let that happen. The hybrid that's going to lay ruin to Gallifrey is me. So the Doctor, at the end of that, is the hybrid. So the speculation is he's the half that you remember in the Paul McGann movie, he talks about being half human. The Doctor may be half human. We'll find out. He might be like Spock. Spock's half human.
Because we don't know his parentage.
No, and it really So there's 2 trailers out for Hellbent that I highly recommend you watch. That are mind blowing.
Okay.
For one, the general from the Time of the Doctor and the Day of the Doctor, who was on Gallifrey, he's back. He's in it. The cabin from the Day of the Doctor is in it. There's a scene in there where he's like in the cabin, and you see an old lady, and it looks a lot like his mom from the End of Time, and another returning person from the End of Time. And I'm going to show off my my tattoo here. This is the seal of Rassilon. And you're not going to know him, but from Game of Thrones, Maester Luwin, who used to be, who was like an advisor to Ned Stark in Game of Thrones, he looks like he's Rassilon. Looks like Rassilon's back. Timothy Dalton's character from the End of Time. Looks like he regenerated. He's got the gauntlet that was in Torchwood and stuff, and he's got his big staff. I've got an action figure up here, and it looks like he's back. I think, and just watch the trailer. The trailer, like, we're in Pod 52, regeneration in progress. That's how it. And then the Sisterhood of Karn is back. There's actually a scene with a Jeep that looks a lot like Utah from The Impossible Astronaut. They do show, there is promo pictures out that the Doctor will be in that American restaurant from The Impossible Astronaut, where when the Doctor died, he's back there. So lots of questions. You know what? I don't know what's going to happen. I know Missy's, they haven't shown her yet, but remember her last words in the Witch is Familiar were, I've just got a clever idea. She's got to be back at some point. Maybe she comes back. Maybe we see her regeneration. Maybe that there is rumors of still the degeneration we talked about at the beginning of the season. There was a scene of you see what looks like Rusty, a weeping angel,
Rusty,
an old Cyberman, and an empty Time Lord costume. And as somebody walks by, there's a hologram in it of David Tennant's face screaming. So, holy shit. And it's going to be a 65-minute episode. And we will be back to do a podcast. We're going to do 2 more podcasts this year. We're going to do one after Christmas. And we're going to do one after this episode. Because it's going to be, apparently, this is what we talked about for 2 years. This is the cliffhanger we didn't see coming. And,
that's right. Yeah, it's supposed to be how he ends things, or like Moffat said, the end of this season was you were not going to see coming at all.
So, I mean, I don't know if you have time to watch it tonight, Harry. Just watch it as soon as you can, and then watch those 2 trailers.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch. I'm 3 episodes away from finishing Jessica Jones, so I'm gonna watch those tonight.
Yep.
I'm off tomorrow morning, so I'll probably wake up, do Doctor Who, or I might even watch it tonight, depending on if I'm awake.
Yeah.
I most likely will. Like Jessica Jones, it's like 3 hours. Oh yeah, I'll probably end up watching it tonight. You know.
Yeah.
You know me. You know me.
Well, watch it by next week. Yeah. So as long as you can hear me. Okay, so let's real quick talk about some quick Doctor Who news that I've read over the last couple days. That some very interesting news. Now it looks like they've kind of gone for broke with these Doctor Who episodes, so I think that lends a lot of credence to the rumors that this show either almost I'm not going to say they were never going to cancel the show, but Moffat's era was about to end because he did admit to Radio Times that he wrote the River Song Christmas special as if it was going to be his last Doctor Who because he wasn't sure. He is now signed on for season 10, but I got high hopes for that now.
Well, that might also be the fact that why this season has been so good is maybe it was in a way since he wasn't sure if he was going to stay or go. He was writing as if he was leaving because there's been some the writing this season has been stellar.
Unbelievable.
It's like even when we're like, the episode's but the Doctor had some good writing, like his speeches were great. So it's like, it could just be the fact that maybe that's kind of why I love season 4 so much. It was like Russell T was leaving. So it's like he was putting everything out there.
Yeah. And still that the end of season 4, even though as cheesy as people call it, everybody in the TARDIS was like still one of my favorite moments.
It's the gang getting back together. It's what you think. It's those it's why you watch reunion specials.
Yeah.
It's like it's everyone in the same room again. You're like, yes.
They've really satisfied me. The only thing I want out of Doctor Who is I want to return to Captain Jack. And I haven't heard a good reason why he shouldn't be back. They just said he's been waiting for a great story, but I'm wondering if he pissed off Stephen Moffat, because it would just make every fan happy. Do you know anybody who doesn't like Captain Jack? Who I don't like Captain Jack.
Know.
I mean, like, come on. He's a brilliant character. And I think it's probably scheduling now that Arrow is on to the fact that this guy's a super popular actor and he's loved in fandom. And he's great. He gets into his roles and I just love him. So the other piece of news is the supposed squashed rumor of the season being shortened, and then they come back and say, "Oh no, we're having a full season 10, but we're not sure what order it'll be in." So you can call it season 10. You can call it whatever you want. We're only going to get 6 to 7 episodes next year. That's pretty much a guarantee because they've already talked about they usually start production in January. They're pushing it back to May. So we are going to get a season 10, but it's going to be kind of like the split season after Russell T Davies left and during the 50th anniversary, which means to me, which is pretty obvious that this is going to be Stephen Moffat's last season in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And as much as I was wanting that, now I don't want that, because that means Capaldi. This will be Capaldi's last season too. I guarantee it. Big news today also. Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit is going to direct. There was a lot of rumors, but they did a video today and it was kind of funny because I guess Capaldi was in New Zealand recently and Peter Jackson's like polishing all his Oscars, going, "I'm not going to direct the goddamn Doctor Who."
I saw a little thing of that, yeah.
Yeah. And Capaldi's behind him being chased by Dalek that actually belongs to Peter Jackson. So that's fun. I hope he gets to direct.
Only if it takes place in the Feebles universe.
That would be awesome.
Doctor Who meets the Feebles. That would be awesome.
Oh, yes. Meet the Feebles. That the reason Peter Jackson is famous.
Exactly. That movie is that's such a twisted movie. I love it.
It's a twisted fucking film. I'm also a fan of The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox. I thought that was a very cool movie. A very underrated movie. And I was watching another underrated movie this last weekend, The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen. Great freaking movie.
That's a great one. That's a good one.
So to wrap this up, your thoughts on Series 9, Harry? I mean, overall, so far.
Overall, I think I've enjoyed it. I think a lot more than Series 8. Like, I feel like Capaldi is like really getting into the skin. Having the Daleks be like the two main start was epic, and it did have that season finale feel to start the show. And it's aside from, I want to say, from The Woman Who Lived and Before the Flood, I feel like I've really enjoyed everything, and the season has just flown by. And the flow of the season has been really good too.
Yeah. Oh,
so
absolutely.
Overall,
Total thumbs up on this. Even the bad episodes fit. Okay, and as overall, if you're looking at the tone, the flow, the storytelling, the plot that's run through the entire season hasn't been heavy-handed, hasn't been shoved in us. There has been a little bit of timey-wimey. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but it's been well placed. This wonderful studio here, this will be the second to last podcast that's in this studio. Nerdrotic.com is moving studios to next door, which you can't see right now, to a bigger room, and we're gonna make more podcast friendly, maybe a little green screen action, and we're gonna actually a lot of changes are coming because this is my full on hobby now. So I think we're gonna combine everything to one channel, and some fun things are gonna happen because we're getting some views, we got some subscribers, and it's fun. I'm having fun. You having fun, Harry? Mm-hmm. I'm having fun.
I'm having fun.
That's good. That's the whole important. That's the most important part. You know, it's a serious world out there, and there's some really serious stuff happening. We are not going to talk about it because that's CNN's job or whatever. Harry, any final thoughts?
I'm excited to finish Jessica Jones and last Saturday's episode of Doctor Who.
Jessica
priorities.
Yeah, well, you know what? No, the reason this podcast has been so delayed is because of Jessica Jones. That was the thing. I mean, I'm not kidding when I was saying I was looking more forward to that than Star Wars.
Oh my god, it's like and I actually still haven't even seen Daredevil.
What?
This has just been like, yeah, it's Daredevil,
dude.
It's me.
You know what? Once you watch it,
are you really that surprised I haven't seen Daredevil?
You know what? Once you watch it, you will understand why people like it. It is.
No, I've heard nothing but good. I've heard nothing but good things. It's just like, it's just me. It's Daredevil was just like, all right.
I know he's not an X-Men. He's not a mutant.
I know. God. Not like they can do anything with my X-Men, rights and all.
You know what? I finished watching Jessica Jones, and I gotta admit I was a little tired during a couple episodes. Did they ever tell her origin? They never tell her origin.
They go as far as they from up to the point I've seen. Her powers are apparently activated in the car crash that killed her parents and her brother. But they don't really explain exactly how she got them. But it's like she was just. It's like she received them.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to tie that into Terrigen Mist, and they are starting to tie the whole universe together very loosely. Okay, real quick, plug yourself in and say goodbye.
That's what. All right. Next Wednesday night, I will be performing at Rock Bar with my drag mama, Miss Petra Fried, for a little Fried family Christmas. Cheers to the junk children's, and anyone else that will tip me $1.
Awesome. And we will plug that left and right, and we will see Harry hopefully for Sutra Watchtower for our Jessica Jones review, and he is chomping at the bit to get back to Jessica Jones, and I need to start editing, so now that I've recorded it this time, goodbye, Harry.
Goodbye, Gary.
See you next week.
See you. Alrighty, man. Bye. Bye for reals.
For real.
Cult of Frisco.